The illicit trade has definitely surged in the last 8 months. I mean, we all witnessed that. A lot of fraudulent activities, a lot of online scams, and there has been really a focus on trying to create awareness on this. Just to give you a little bit of background on Philip Morris, and then I will get on to 3 points I like to develop today. Philip Morris, as a leader in the tobacco business, is leading the way with a massive scale business transformation to achieve a smoke-free future, which is essentially to replace cigarettes with better alternatives for the 1.1 billion men and women who are smokers, and they will continue to be, and they will deserve better alternatives. And that massive transformation and that we are tackling, technology has been really at the center of it as a key enabler. We know technology is in our day-to-day life. It's the driver of the fourth industrial revolution. It allows to disrupt entire sectors. And for us in that transformation, where we've invested more than $7 billion, technology has been at the center of R&D, of science, of innovation, of new products development. And we see technology extremely important in the fight against illicit trade, because first, we see it as securing our products, and we have applications for that. Product security means that you are able to protect your consumers ultimately, so that they are exposed to secure products meeting standards, and that can convey them a positive experience. So we use advanced technology on security features for the electronics of our products. The second aspect is about securing the supply chain, and this is tracking and tracing. We secure our distribution internally with all the countries that we have globally, and sometimes with our business partners externally. And we do that with applying serialized coding and a built-in and continuously evolving traceability systems, which allows us to go upstream to track products and to trace them, and as well to generate very valuable data that can be used internally, but as well externally with law enforcement when we have certain cases that we need to investigate. The third aspect of using technology, and which is really at the core of our transformation, is as well to secure the journey of our consumers as they go through the different phases of learning about the product and essentially our novel products, smoke-free products, trying those products, and then buying and living through this journey. And here, this is where the online space kicks in, with the wide exposure that consumers can have on the counterfeit offers, substandard offers, or even online gray sales. I will expand a little bit more on that later on. So definitely technology is at the core of our transformation. Technology is at the core of tackling illicit trade, given the hyper activity we see on the shift towards more of the digital world. For us, we understand that blockchain it's still at an infancy level when you look at industries like us, who have an extremely fast-paced production environment. You know, we talk milliseconds to code our products, but we definitely see a great potential moving forward, and we are always very keen to new technologies and to look at them and to evaluate how they can bring value to our business. The second point I would like to address now is what is PMI doing to fight illicit trade in this new reality, in the COVID reality? I think first, the illicit trade issue is not new, and it's one of the top priority at PMI. To address it, we do that with a dedicated global team of experts. We work with our affiliates to tackle this issue. And we as well make sure to control our supply chain. Now, the issue of illicit trade, just to give a bit of sizing, is enormous. We're talking of illicit flows of a value of $1.6 to $2.2 trillion. The value of counterfeit and pirated products are equivalent to almost 3% of world trade value, $500 billion. So we're facing an issue that is of massive scale and that needs a completely cross-sectoral, cross-functional, and cross-regional cooperation approach. Now, what we do in this pandemic is accelerating what we've been doing, which is to cooperate with public authorities, with the private sectors as well, to build evidence and intelligence that we can share when we see organized crime or networks impacting the supply chain, to be able to address those risks. And it's about training law enforcement with intelligence on the practices that we do, sharing information, doing public and private awareness campaigns. For example, we launched and we were the lead in the US in July of anti-fraudulent goods campaign with some US organizations and other fast mover consumer goods companies, the like of Merck, Tommy Hilfiger, Procter & Gamble. And it was a campaign about informing consumers about the danger of counterfeit online. And one of the motto that was used is, what you see online may not be what you get. I think it's the absolute reality that a lot of people have faced, that we may even have faced ourselves, or members of our families, to be lured into counterfeit products, which at the end of the day feed criminal organizations who are behind it. So how can we improve and be more effective in the fight against illicit trade? Illicit trade is a transnational issue in essence. Organized criminal networks work in networks, and we need to have a response similar to them to build bridges, to attack networks, and to follow the leads that they can give us and to eliminate as much as we can. Mowing the lawn means you do not get rid of it. You address it consistently, but if you can make it disappear to as a certain part of the supply chain or certain critical aspects of the industries, then this is definitely the focus. So there is an important thing as well I'd like to flag, and that's a reality we've seen even more during this COVID crisis, is the evident gap between the online space and the offline space. As we know, e-commerce has been booming. It's moved from a value of about 380 billion in 2010 to nearly 2 trillion this year, and apparently expected to double again in the next 4 years, up to $4 trillion. And e-commerce relies a lot on the various enablers, such as the web hosting services, the search engines, the marketplaces, the social media places. So a number of actors are actually enabling this digital e-commerce to take place. And what we see is technology has been at the core of this acceleration of e-commerce, but it at the same time a double-edged sword, because the same technology or novel technologies actually allow illicit operators to benefit from it in a negative way and hide behind a veil of anonymity on the web. And I think this is where it's very interesting to see how a digital identity, securing a digital identity, can help in exposing and making this online digital space more secure, so that you know who you're buying from, you know who is the identity of your counterparts, and definitely the technologies such as blockchain or the trust protocols are at the core to help facilitate that. Another element which adds on the overarching issue of the online space is the lack of global governance. Regulations are sometimes at their infancy or are being revised, like the Digital Services Act in Europe. So there is really a large effort that needs to be done to look at this entire digital world and put some regulatory measures around it. Just to conclude, I think it requires open dialogue. As I said, there is not a silver bullet to tackle the issue of illicit trade. It's not going to go away, but it needs to be addressed to eliminate what we can, to put more measures where we can, and that can be done with a dialogue, with public-private partnerships, collaborations across industries, cross sectors, with law enforcement and with governments. And that's what we really advocate at Philip Morris, which is that we speak to each other, because the illicit trade issue is not just about tobacco, it's about many consumer goods and goes even far beyond about luring or scamming consumers. Last point I wanted to make is, and that's more specific to PMI, we launched in 2016 a global campaign called PMI Impact, which is an initiative that offers really financing and support public, private, and NGO projects that can tackle or address the illicit trade in a wider sense globally. And we finance about $48 million of 30 projects, of 60 projects in 30 continents, so 30 countries. So it's something that is there as a catalyst and as an engine to address the issue of illicit trade. So these are the points that I wanted to develop. So Ben, thank you very much for the opportunity, and I will leave some space to my colleagues as well on the call to elaborate further.